Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video. And today we have the top 16 breakdown for the Kansas City Collect-A-Con Regional that happened this past weekend. It's hosted by PPG. It's the first event with the Zenkai format, which is really exciting, and I'm ready to go into it. But before we do, real quick, a couple of things. One, I am on the road right now because I was at this event, and I got 5th, which I'm really happy about. But the mic quality is a little bit worse, so sorry about that. And then also just shout outs to PPG for giving me these lists to give to you guys and everything else, and for running the event. It went really smoothly, as well as shout outs to Team FOE who have some deck profiles on their channel as well. Eddie got 2nd for this event, so shout outs to him as well. And they should be doing a couple matches that they recorded from the event too. So if you guys want to check out some of the matches, that should be on their YouTube channel. That's linked in the description, as well as this document, which is also linked in the description for you guys as well. So going on into it, and real quick too, this was a lot of effort, especially because I'm on the road and not at home right now to put this together. So if you guys do like this video, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. I really do appreciate it. But really going on into it, we do see a big Shenron slice in this pie chart here, and I think it was just the most straightforward deck from the set. It's just very strong out the gate. I know a lot of people saw it. Gogeta GT was the good one, and it got some tops, top 8 in this, and 2 in the top 16. But I think just looking at the room, like, it was almost physically or statistically impossible for Redson not to get top 16 because so many people are running it. It was just everywhere, including myself. So I think it's just a strong deck, and it did super well. Got 1 in the top 4. And just again, 6 places there. But we do also have 2 of the SS4 Goku and Vegeta, 2 Gamma, 1 SS3 Reboot, which was the winner for the event. Shoutouts to Dane, which I did do a deck profile on my channel yesterday. So if you guys want to check out the probably a less quick rundown over the deck and hear Dane's opinions, I definitely recommend that. We also do have an SS3 Reboot, or sorry, the Trunks of Vegeta run by Eddie for 2nd place, Expert at Cell, Launch, Skillless Gohan, and a King Cold there. So a good variety of stuff, and technically top 4 had 4 different colored leaders in that top 4, so kind of cool there. This was 40 players. This was best of 1 pre-side, and as well as the top cut was top 4. So Josh played against Josh played against Eddie, and Eddie beat that. Dane played against Hakeem, and Dane won that, and then Dane won the finals against Eddie as well. So that's kind of just how that breakdown goes. And I don't have all the lists right now too, because it is just based off the PPG page. So 2 of them just were empty, or they just linked to previous decks that were there. So if those get updated, this will be updated here. I know Yuha also did a deck profile on the Team FOE, and he did recover his deck. If you guys hadn't heard, I know that he did lose his deck after round 3, and he did recover. It was just in his backpack, so he was able to recover everything, which is really cool to hear. So I don't know what his final deck list is, or whatever deck list he would run 100%. So I'll probably update it into the sheet, but I just honestly don't know as of recording this video. But let's go into the top placing deck list for this event. We'll go into the SS3 Reboot and then just go down the line based off the top placement for each leader. So let's go for that. Starting us off, we do have Dane's 1st place SS3 Reboot Goku, and he was not only undefeated just for the Saturday, but for the entire weekend with this list. He didn't drop an entire match, so really big shouts to Dane with this and his performance. Really, really cool to see that. And Goku, this leader's been obviously rebooted once. It's always been like on everyone's mind. Untapping 3 has been so good, especially that's like kind of why Gamma's been so strong as it has been in the last couple weeks. So using this leader to do that, and just with the new card we're getting from this, the SS Son Goku Another World Blitz, just being able to have another way to have another untap is such a strong thing. Like, this is just like another Majin Buu unison that this deck can run without having to, like, you can have both these up on the board. If you have Majin Buu out and you have Goku and your leader's awakened, you get to untap 5 every turn. Like, you just don't care how much energy you use. You can just use all 6, and then you just get it all back at the end of the turn, which is compounded with, if you play like an SS4 Vegeta, to draw 4 cards, like, you have to untap 6, but then you get 4 or 5 energy back. It doesn't really matter. You get a 30k blocker, you get 4 more cards in your hand to do stuff, and technically you get 6 more cards because you get to draw a card off your leader swing, you get to draw a card off the Majin Buu, and like you're not losing a card every turn because you're not charging anymore after 6 energy. It's just so strong. Blue has so many tools right now to be very defensive, especially in a meta where there are a lot of like early aggro decks that if you can stabilize with this deck, you're doing super duper good. So especially since you do just have like another one like this Vegito, even if you're not Trunks Future, just being able to have a triple strike barrier blocker that just at the end of your turn switches card action mode and choose one of your opponent's battle cards and one card like this just goes plus so much, and you don't even have to draw it. You just have to have the Z energy for it, which is sometimes tricky in a deck like this to build the Z energy, but like it's just you never have to find it, which is great just because this deck doesn't naturally get a lot of cycle and draw. It's just very defensive, very strong. And when they stabilize, you just feel like you lose on the spot. So congrats again to Dane. Really cool to see this is doing well. And in general, like when I made my tier list video, I think there's a lot of blue Saiyan. Blue Saiyans are just in a really good spot, and I think this Goku is really good. Beerus Destroys also is just a fantastic card in the meta right now. It's very, very strong. So, again, congrats to Dane. And next up, we do have Eddie's Trunks and Vegeta that they piloted for second place for the event. And honestly, not a lot of new cards in this. The only new cards I would say are the Z deck cards, which I think are just super strong. I think they make sense. They're in a good spot, especially since you are playing a deck that can run Release from Evil. There's a lot of cards that get hit by this very meanly, and you do just get like punished for swinging with something, especially like SS3 Reboot. Like if they swing with it and they have Release from Evil, then you can't untap 3 at the end of the turn. Like you're just in a rough spot. So like this card just existing is just very strong. And this Goku, fantastic card. So Deflect Barrier, it's 3 energy for a Z cost of 2. When this card is played, choose up to one of your opponent's leaders, unisons, or battle cards in rest mode, and it can attack until the end of your opponent's next turns, which is again very strong. And then also, if this card's in rest mode, when your opponent plays a card, you may place one of your Z energy in its owner's drop area. If you do, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards or unison, switch it to rest mode and gate its skills for the turn. So like Majin Buu gets hit by this very hard, and there's just like a lot of like you just have to play a card and like you just could prevent them from doing some fun things. So also running the Lord Slug package in the main just to I don't know, just get some more interaction where your opponent's going to have a hard time drawing cards, and just a very grindy deck for right now. So honestly, like again, this is like the first day of this format when this tournament happens. So playing a deck that I think doesn't use the new stuff, but you know how it works and you know how to work it really well, I think is a smart thing, because all these other decks are going to be unoptimal, and if you are able to counteract and play against them and get more value off them, you're going to be in a good spot. So congrats again to Eddie. He's probably going to make a video on his channel, so make sure to check that out. He's going to have a lot more better insights than me. But just congrats again. So next up we have Hakeem, which I did play against him in Swiss as well. Cell is just an interesting choice, but it's a happy one for me. It just generates a lot of value, and again, like decks that just are able to value heavy in a format where people are playing lists that don't generate value as well, or like their lists are a little bit clunky because they haven't been optimized yet. Playing an optimized list that is older is usually still has a lot of good matchups for it. So obviously this has a lot of just destruction effects and being able to use like this hand destruction. Like no one's sided to bore today. Like very few people sided to bore. So in a format where people don't have like direct hand destruction hit because they're just siding a bunch of other cards, I think it's a good call. We do have the new Son Goku Fated Rival. So for 2, if your opponent has 3 more energy and you place one of your Saiyan, Earthling, and Namekian cards, all green, from your Z energy at the bottom of your own deck, you can play this card from your hand. So you do have just a bunch of these Saiyans or Earthlings. None of your main things, but your super combo, for example, is a Saiyan and Earthling, so you can just use that. I don't think there's any Namekians yet. So it's just mostly if you combo your super combo, which, again, spoilers, you're probably going to do this very often. You do get this Goku, and it's a big double strike barrier, which is nice. And if your latest green of this card's play, choose a 20 of your opponent's battle cards, ignore barrier, and KO it, which is just, for 2 is very strong. Just being able to KO anything with barrier for 2 and a Z energy, I think is a good spot. We do also have the new Frieza Resurrected Ambition 2. So when this card is played, choose one of your opponent's battle cards and cost 5 or less to KO it. And once returned, place one of your Z energy and Sonor's drop when one of your other green battle cards attacks with an energy cost 2 or more. Your opponent discards 1 card from their hand. It's a big double strike too. So really good card, I think, for this hand destruction stuff. And if people aren't siding against it, very good. So I like Cell. Obviously, this is a deck that I think the most of the main engine is already there and understood, but I think it was a good pick for this too. And just in general, like even though it's day one, everyone wants to play their new stuff. Being able to you're just going to find more success playing a deck that you know that is very optimized against, by and large, against people who are playing the new stuff. So I mean, most of the top four just kind of showed that too. So, but going into the new stuff, the Red Sin, obviously there were a lot of Red Sins, and we do have this one, which is Josh Bradley's got fourth place. This is my final round opponent, and I think the match was recorded too, so you might get to see it. Match between us is really funny. We both had two balls in our life, and honestly, no, if you're in a Red Sin mirror match, it is almost always whoever goes first gets the win. That's my experience with it. And he went first, and so he did get that W. But honestly, strong player, really good match. And I do like a couple of the interesting choices he made. Specifically, this Trunks Delusion Power. If your battle card is in battle is red, when you combo this card, get plus 5k combo power for duration on the turn. So like a super combo in sense with this, I think is really strong, especially in a format where there's so much comboing. This being a 10k, but also like being able to optimize how many cards you get to put in your Z energy for a 10k combo, I think is very strong. We do also have these Frieza Death's Embrace, which I think is a really interesting card too. So when you play this card, draw one, active battle for one red, choose up to one of your opponent's leader cards or battle cards, and it gets minus 10k power for the duration of the battle. So and when I played this deck too, like sometimes I just had a bunch of extra energy that I wasn't doing anything with. And so playing it, being able to do this and then go swinging for game on, like, you have so many doubles and triple strikes in this deck that you can just get 10k combos for free off this onto a leader, which is kind of cool. We do also, they are running Unison in main. They're the Wolfang Fist in there as well. Broly Crown, the Violent Rays, the Yamchas, and then to the side, Dragon Thunders, as well as the minus energy Powerball. So, and also just the one of Ultimate Dragon Quake, which is really interesting too. But again, really, this deck, I think a lot of it. This one honestly, like, it's like 30 cards into the archetype that you have to play, but then after that you have the freedom to make your own deck, which I think is really cool and gets just a lot of value from it, which is really interesting. So congrats again to Josh for their finish there. I do also just want to go quickly over Johnathen Lanza's list. It's really cool just because it is a multicolored build of this. It is a red-blue version of Sin Shenron, which no, inherently you can run multicolors. You just have to, everything has to be red of some kind. But it's really cool to see a list like this that is multicolored, because I would normally assume that Sin is almost locked to just mono red. So it just uses Micro Frieza just for the charge and everything, and is running some coolers as well as the Beerus Divine Obliterator as your super combo. We're used to having the multicolor red yellow Beerus, but the red blue also works for it. Getting the untap is kind of nice, and this means like you get a free like arrival for cooler, which is cool. Bean as well, just to extend your aggro plays. Like, Bean's always just been known for being aggressive and defensive at the same time. Especially like if you put it on top of your rush attack Vegeta, you get to just get the benefits twice, which is super nice. It's a 20k, or sorry, a 25k attack and then a 30k double strike attack afterwards. There's just inherent dual attack on this list, which is cool. And yeah, I think it's really cool. I'm happy at top, so I just want to go over it quickly and just kind of talk about it. I think he's doing a profile on the FOE channel, so if you guys want to check that out as well, I definitely recommend doing so. So, anyways, going up next, we do have Matt Lang's 6th place SS4, Son, Goku, and Vegeta. And I know a lot of people, this was like the boogeyman out the gate for a lot of people. I think a lot of people thought this was the best deck in the format. And I still think it's strong, and don't think I don't. I think just the only issue with it is that it's so dependent on going into like this guy into, like, doing this on turn 4, and then like if you have an out to it, you do, and if you don't, you don't. And in a format where Dirty Burst exists as it does, and just like a bunch of other ways to get out of it, it's just, I don't know. It's I think it's a gatekeeper for a format, but I don't think it's the best deck in the format. But it's definitely very cool. I think there's some cool choices. The Rushing Warrior Pan is a cool choice here, and no doubt the Broly Crown, Broly Crowns could be played for free as well. Being able to do that kind of stuff, and I don't know, it's a deck that cycles a lot. It's obviously made specifically for the Z format. This Unison we haven't talked about today is just busted in so many ways. It's just a good card. I can't believe they printed it. Honestly, it just does so much for the deck and just red decks in general. That it's just super duper strong, especially since in a format where you can play Broly Crowns and you can be very happy about it. It's very, very strong. So, anyways, I don't have a lot to say about this. I think it's a good deck, and I think it's going to continue topping. but I don't think it's as much as a boogeyman as a lot of people were kind of afraid it was going to be. So next up, we do have Gamma, and this is by Peyton Gilbert. And shout outs to Peyton, first round opponent, and all the way from Alabama to Kansas City. So hope they got some safe travels, and very nice to meet them as well. And playing Gamma, this is obviously just a BT 17 list, which there's literally no issue with that. This was, I think, the best deck of the format back then, and it's still very strong right now. I don't think there's any reason for it to be any less strong as it is. It does have a lot of defensive capabilities and some floodgates, especially with the Aandroidd 14, which can be very impactful in some of these rushed aggro decks like Shenron and everything else. And obviously 9-drop Cell is a good boy. And you do just have like a side deck full of just like hate and other cool stuff you can do. And the Cell is just like a really good way to board clear as well without having to like a lot of, if you're playing against the mirror match, right, they're going to have Dirty Burst available for you. So as soon as you drop your 9-drop Cell, you can't attack with it. But this Cell is pretty much like a better version of it. It's a 25k dual attack crit, which can sometimes become a triple strike crit on the second swing. And it does get some board clear presence and everything else with it. So I think it's very, very strong. Also, we do have the new 5-drop Aandroidd 18 Merciless Strength. Running it at 2, obviously it's not as, Energy Exhaust for free is very good for us. And then also if you need to discard it from your hand to be able to look top 5 to, do your thing. I think this is a nice, like, little support card. Obviously it's not make or break or doesn't increase the power level, exponentially, but it does help the deck out a little bit. I do like the inclusion of 1 or 2 in the deck in the first place. So very strong list, I think, especially since it can use Aandroidd 17, 18 to just be defensively and build a lot of Z energy. I think it's a good spot still. So congrats again to Peyton there. And then next up we do have Colter Martin with Launch. And I honestly, the more I played Launch, this is more and more one of my favorite decks in the format. And there'll probably be other ways to build it, but I think red blue is in a really good spot. Based on my own testing too, I think that the unison-less build is probably just at least less unisons is the way to go. Sometimes they're just kind of stuck in hand, but there are a lot of ways to do things, and there's just more there's blue cards to help us. So obviously Master Roshi just as a 1-drop negate, which you can combo with as well as the Son Goku the Rescuer. When battle cards return to your player's hand by a skill, if your isn't in play, you can play this card from your hand and activate main for 1 blue. Send this card from your drop into your warp. Choose it to one of your opponent's battle cards. Sorry, one of your blue battle cards at any cost of 3 or less, or up to one of your opponent's battle cards at any cost of 3 or less returns to another's hand. So you can do some things like you can bounce Roshi back, which is kind of nice. And that's pretty much it. And then any of your like multicolor stuff if you need to. But just a cute card. I do like the SS3 Sengoku one-hit wonder a little bit more, but just because you're able to get that -5 on something. But I don't know, this deck just makes an obnoxious amount of Z energy. It means that you can use this SSB Vegeta very easily as well. This can be great for hitting your opponent from 4 to 3, and just kind of just everything else that goes with it. So yeah, I like this deck, and I think it's going to keep doing well in the next couple weeks. So congrats again to Colter. Next up, we do have Joshua's Skillless Gohan. This is a really I really like it's a good format for any Blue Saiyan, and Sun Gohan sure is a Blue Saiyan. I'm not going to say I'm going to be an expert on this list, but I do know kind of just how the basics work for it. So obviously this like awakens early if you play a skillless battle card from your energy. So we do have some skillless battle cards. We do have 7 of those to help us get there, and then to help us play them from the energy, we do have the Chinchin-Han Energy Fortification, as well as the Unison, the SS Sengoku Spirit Boost Striker, which activate for +1 if your leader card is a mono blue. You may switch this card to rest mode if you do. Choose up to 1 blue skillless battle card with any cost 2 or less in your energy play. If you played it, place the top card of your deck in your energy in rest mode at the end of the turn. So being able to get that play. And this just has, when this card attacks, you may add 1 mono blue card from your energy to your hand. If you do, choose up to 1 mono blue card in your hand and place it in your energy. So being able to get that essential untap 1, as well as just the flexibility of fixing your energy and everything else is kind of nice. So it's cool. I think blue, again, is in a good spot defensively, especially if you're a Blue Saiyan. And there's some cool stuff that kind of goes with it. So that's all I got to say about this. Congrats again to Joshua for their finish. And last deck of the night is Josh Davis's King Cold. And this is definitely a deck that didn't get a whole lot from this format besides just some Z-Back. Honestly, like, green got, like, this freeze is nice, don't get me wrong, but like it's like a mid-range version. Like a lot of other colors got like these big boss monsters, and green just simply did not get that, which is a bit unfortunate. But you know, this deck is so strong. I think again, this is a very consistent list on this. There's not a lot new, and I don't have a lot to say honestly because it is like honestly what this is like a BT 16 list almost, right? Like what's the newest card in this guy? I can't. It's just almost looks like the standard package, honestly. There's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, the Z deck's the newest cards, but I don't know. King Cold is a very again value based deck, and in week one, if you're playing a deck that you know that is optimized as best as it can, it's probably just as good as an unoptimized better list that just got out. So not much more than that. Congrats to Josh on their finish there. And that is going to be it for the breakdown for you guys. So if you made it this far and you haven't hit that like and subscribe button, you better do it now. You just watched me ramble for a very long time. Again, thank you so much to PPG for running the event, getting me these lists. Shoutouts to Eddie for getting some footage, which will be found on their channel once again. Congrats to Dane again for winning the event. And to really everyone I met this weekend. It was really chill. I'm very happy it came out. And I always love these Midwestern events as well. So that's going to be it for me. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. And I'll catch you all next time.
Damn it. Damn it.